Okay, trustees, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are opened. Go for it.
Terrible. I had 6 crabs. And then
I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular meeting of the East Hampton Town Trustees for June 9th, 2025. And we'll do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Marlene, can you do roll call, please?
Certainly. John Aldred.
Here.
Francis Bach.
Here.
David Cataletta.
Here.
Patrice Dalton. Here. Ben Dollinger. Tim Garneau. Celia Josephson. Here. Jim Grimes.
Yes.
Bill Taylor.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, public comment. I'd like to point out that there's nobody in the room with us. And Matt, is there anybody on the phone lines?
You have 0 callers right now. Thank you.
Okay, we'll skip public comment, move on to new business. We have a request received from Quincy Davis to sell her leasehold at 203 Shore Road, lot 26S in Lazy Point.
Chris, I think at this point, are all of the requirements regarding notices, affidavits in place at this point?
Yeah, everything's been met. Notices in, the affidavits in, publication. All the application is in, as well as the proof of residency, which I see that she is satisfactorily approved here. So this one is ready for review and vote.
Right, is there any questions about this application?
Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Anybody else have new business they want to discuss? No? All right.
I gave the scholarship to Jocelyn Garcia on Thursday night she's a high school senior graduating. So she was happy about that. So thanks to the trustees.
Excuse me 1 second, trustees. I have to make this very quick announcement. Due to a technical difficulty, the meeting was not live on channel 22, but it was recorded. It will be re-uploaded later. I just wanted to make that announcement very quickly. We are live on channel 22 now, but thank you anyway.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Of course.
Committee reports, anybody have anything? It's going to be a very quick meeting tonight.
We're going to talk about the horseshoe crabs, still some time here.
Sure.
We went out, we counted the horseshoe crabs, 1, 2, 3, and they were all there.
That was 28. Started at 28.
Actually, the last two were the first night of the count up to the full moon is tonight. Last moon, the first night, oddly enough, it was a day or so after we had that blow come through. We literally had only 6 crabs in our sampling area.
Wow.
Of the 6, we recovered a tag. But oddly, what was bizarre is the full moon before we had, I think we had 1,100 the first night, 2,100 the second night, and roughly, I think it was 1,600 on the third night. But then on that last moon, 2 nights after, on the new moon, we had 630 crabs. And then 2 nights after the new moon, we had like 460. So we're going out tonight. I'm hoping that we'll be able to set out the last 25 tags. But to this date, this year, I think we might have 26 or 30 recovered tags.
They look like they were relatively new.
The tags? No, it was a wide range of years and tagging dates. And the bizarre thing, we found a tag that must have gotten ripped off during sex, that was set out like 2 years ago, that we just found like drifting around on the bottom.
Wow.
Have you been in contact with any of the other sites?
No, what I do is I upload the sampling the morning after, and I send in like the recovered tags, but as yet I haven't heard back from DEC, which you usually do. No, you know what's bizarre? The numbers compared to, we've been doing this for what, 8 years or so? The first few years were static or slightly declining. The last 3 years, the numbers have increased, not on a percentage base, on an exponential base, because 2 years ago, we had whatever it was, like our high numbers were 500, 600. Last year, our high numbers were 1,100. This year, our high numbers so far have been in that 2,200 number. This is the same identical section shoreline, the same rough sampling depth. And it's wild that, that you're seeing more. I don't know what that's going to spell like, let's say next year. But
how many people does it take to count that many crabs?
what has really saved us is that little Irish kid girl, Saoirse, and her mom, Marguerite Doyle, and her dad, what's dad's name? Dermot? Anyway, they have been the lifesaver,
Okay.
because if I didn't have them helping, the first night when I counted 100 crabs, I counted them by myself. My sheet looked like a suicide note. I mean, I had friggin' crap written all over the place. Marguerite, the mother, does the
The tallying.
the tallying, and I got to tell you, man, it is perfect. It's like typewritten. It is so neat. And by the time 10 minutes after we finish, she has the totals. No calculator, no nothing. She has them all done. And her daughter Saoirse has been great. She brought a friend last moon, and we set out 50 tags one night, and we're down to, we just have 25 tags, but we really got like an assembly line kind of thing going. I've got
Do you have more taggers this year than the years prior, though, or no?
No, fortunately, the Marguerite and her family's been helping us out. She's not there tonight, so I have 2 new people coming tonight. We'll see what that brings.
I mean, like, from the years prior, that would somehow prop up your numbers, are you getting more efficient and tagging more, or visually?
No,
you're just
these are,
seeing more?
no, I think, what it is we're seeing individuals year after year. These guys are living, they're making it, they're living to breed. And the bizarre thing is this year we had 2 consecutive tags we recovered, which if I've got 2 consecutive tags, that means off of that sheet with the tags on them, they were tagged literally in the same spot
It's weird.
that year. And I've kept track. When I found that last year, they were tagged within 100 feet of where I found them the year before. This year, we've had 2 consecutive tags, and we've had 4 that were off of the same sheet that have, that we've come
Do you
across
think
coming
maybe
back.
those particular tags weren't applied well, or they were looser, they came off?
No, they
easier?
didn't. No. These are, we find the individual alive.
Alive with the
With his
tag.
tag, you scrub off the schmutz and you read the number, we take a picture
Oh,
of
because
it.
when you said you found the tags, I thought.
No, I only found 1 free-floating tag, which was, I just considered it was rough sex. Just,
So do you have like an idea about the right number of people to do this? Because if you didn't have this team, you would.
I would be, I've tried doing tagging by myself, and it took me 2.5 hours to set out 25 tags, doing it by myself.
So ideally, probably like 4 or 5.
Now, ideally 4. 4 makes a nice number because you know what happens is we get 1 or 2 people capturing. We have one person that's measuring and another person that's drilling the shell and placing the tags, and somebody's got to have dry hands to take, because what we do is, because they ask you to write down sort of the condition of the shell and all this. Well, sorry, at 1 a.m, I'm not really feeling much like friggin' doing a little narrative on each crab. So what we do is we do a mug shot of each crab as we tag them. We list whether they're male or female, and we just go, along that way.
We were on this cruise in Riverhead out to this little beach, was the Black Duck hunting club. And they were showing us how you tell a male from a female crab. I never knew that
The
before.
little mitts,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was wondering how you did that.
No, you know what, when you're walking along and counting, you get to a point at a glance,
You could tell.
you can tell whether it's males or females, one by the size, by the fact that they're attached to a female, but also their behavior. You know, they act a little different. It's kind of like people.
So you physically counting each individual crab, or are you doing a?
No, we're not doing quadrants, but Matt has said, geez, the numbers that you're getting here, maybe you should go to that, but I don't think it would ever work for our area.
You mean the transects?
Yeah, simply because you know what? You could conceivably come up with 2 crabs, because if the
Yeah,
distances that you're measuring isn't there, but you can do it. And what we do basically is, you go down there, you do a visibility check, which it's usually 6 to 8 meters, and that's what we count in that 6 to 8 meter, and we're pretty disciplined as far as, because we know the shoreline pretty well at this point.
yeah.
So with doing counts in Northwest and Lazy Point, did we choose those locations or did the DEC choose them? We did, okay.
Yeah. And we chose the area for Lazy Point just out of ease of access.
Mhm.
Now, I've had people, the individual that's going to help me tonight has gone down to the east side of Napeague Harbor and found pretty significant crab numbers down there. I kind of wanted to get down there and tag and listed the east side of Napeague
okay.
Harbor just to see if those tags would come up on the west shore. Like the night that I only saw 6 crabs,
Yeah.
did they just go across to the other side for that?
I think there's a lot of crabs that come up down in the south end, down by the towers,
Yeah,
radio tower.
yeah, I've never, see, what happens is you're going down there, and by the time you're done counting, you've kind of missed the whole tide. And tonight it's roughly 9:20 or so, I think we go out. And then by the time we finish, we're at, the last night, we're actually in the next day. We're starting after midnight. And, I like it, but there's only so much friggin' time you can spend with the mosquitoes and the crabs that.
Yeah, we went on the 28th. It was Saturday, and it was an early high tide at 8:30. So I got 6 middle school surf rider club kids to come down, and we had a really cool, interesting experience. We counted about 24, so it wasn't like the high night I was hoping it was going to be. But the students were measuring them, and then we tagged 8. With Tim and Courtney, and we found 1 tag. We retrieved 1 old tag. So overall, it was a good experience.
You had to stop halfway, right?
Yeah, we couldn't go all the way because of the
Trouble is there's sort of an optimal number. We've had more people show up, and I'm going to be honest. doesn't work because unless people have specific tasks, you just got a bunch of people running around going, 2 males, 1 female. And somebody can't, you got to have you have to have some discipline in the system. And, we've talked about like, okay, if let's say we're going to bring a group of school kids down, is don't do it on a count, just go down and tag, and that way, all you're doing is recording sizes and tagging.
In terms of the other numbers in other places, in the email we got tonight this afternoon from Cornell, anticipation of tonight's count, we did say that the North Shore and Peconic sites are expected to peak tonight, and they've gotten very high numbers from other sites in the Peconics and the South Shore. That's good.
That's good.
Sounds like a good year.
It's kind of cool.
Sounds like it's a good year for the horseshoe crabs.
Yeah, this year and last year too.
Yeah.
It'd be a good year for the shorebirds feeding, right, on those guys.
Well, what's weird? The night that we had almost no crabs, there was almost nothing else. There was no fiddler crabs. There were no eels. There were no spearing. It was like the harbor was dead that night. And I think a lot of it had to do with the temperature. It kind of cooled off. We had the winds, and it just took them a day or so to recoup.
That was so cool today. I wonder if it'll influence your counts tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, but the water temperatures now are, they're high enough that, if you get 1 or 2 days of cool weather, I don't think it's going to change. I'm just hoping there's enough crabs around that I can use up the last of the tags.
We've got 2 more nights in this cycle after tonight.
Yeah. Like in Jimmy's World, when I write 25 numbers down, because I pre-write the sheets, I want to use 25 tags.
Jimmy's World.
Let's hope the crabs cooperate, Jim.
Yeah,
I think the weather's supposed to deteriorate a bit.
it is. It's supposed to be crappy later on. So.
All right. Any other committee want to discuss anything?
Why don't you give your impression of that meeting the other day?
My impression of the meeting?
Patrice, go ahead.
The PEP meeting?
Well, I would start with the boat ride.
That was the best part.
That was the best part. It was so amazing. Like, I never really thought about the Peconic River and how I'm not that familiar with that place. And the Peconic River is fresh water. And then as it gets out to the bay there, it picks, there's a wall of salinity, like where the salinity starts to hit. So where we were at the beach, there are dead ancient white cypress stumps in the water there.
Yep.
And what happened was when the salinity came in further, they died because they like fresh water. They didn't want to be.
Well, you can see that at the point in Montauk too.
Yeah.
You can see every once in a while you get these old stumps will get exposed, and it's red spruce.
Oh, okay.
And it goes back to like the Ice Age, actually, because along the South Shore of Montauk, you'll see these ponds that are broken out into the ocean, and you'll see these 6 or 8 foot peat layers, and you'll see these old stumps hanging out of there. And I know about 30, 40 years ago, I forget what college carbon dated those things at I think they were like 16, 18,000 years ago. And you can still identify them as tree stumps. And they said at that time, sea level was 170 foot lower. And it was just like a spruce taiga.
Yeah. So
area.
these white.
It's Chemacypris dioides.
Yeah, they were like a couple of thousand years old when these obviously weren't that old.
Now there still are Atlantic white cedar.
Atlantic white cedar.
And the only place that I know of that you can find them is, I think it's over in Noyak.
Oh,
or
really?
Noyak North Sea. There's a,
Big stands in Riverhead.
is there?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's where we were. And so we're in North Sea.
Christ, I don't, it's been so long. It's like in some of those swamps, along
We're gonna look for them.
North Sea Road.
But I thought that trip was so it was so
I've never been
worthwhile.
on the river. It was really beautiful.
Yeah,
It's like the whole south side was 95% undeveloped, I would say.
Yeah.
Is this the one you take all the way up into Riverhead?
yeah, it was,
It starts right behind the Atlantis. It starts there and then goes out into the bay.
Yeah.
you know where Route 105 is, there's a golf course.
We used to go, well, remember the kids in school? We used to do a canoe trip
We
where
should,
you went in somewhere, I think it was like just west of Tanger Mall area.
Uh-huh.
We used to go in, it was like a school trip.
this was right in
kids.
Riverhead. You could just get on the dock there.
Yeah, right at the aquarium, right?
and It was
There's some kind
convenient.
there's some kind of structure there, right, like a dam? Just west
Yeah,
of
there's a
North,
dam
north of,
by the circle. In between the two circles, there's a dam there.
Yeah,
there's a series of dams farther up the river.
Right,
too.
right.
That's
And-
north of Brookhaven, isn't
Was it? Goes that far?
it?
they had a naturalist on board who was explaining things about osprey that I didn't know. I mean, it was a very well done trip. But wow, that little beach we went to, I took photographs of it and I showed them to my friends who lived in Riverhead in that area for 25 years. And they explained to me what happened there at the Duck Club and all that land from Hubbard down to that area. It was preserved. It's been hardly touched at all. And you can just see the three different types of shorelines. You see them clearly. It was really a very
It was really
informative trip.
interesting.
But the other part, the lectures,
Yeah, I thought the panel was pretty interesting.
yes.
They set up a panel where they have 6 or 7 people, and each one was from a different layer of government. Brian Frank was on the panel. There was somebody from planning.
Weren't they from a lot of jurisdictions, not just local here, or no?
Not the panel.
Not the panel.
Well, they were all from Long Island,
Oh, okay.
iconic
Mm.
area.
And they had Bob DeLuca was on the panel, was a non-governmental.
And what they do is they pose a question to each one of them, and we got to hear their responses, and it was interesting.
The overall takeaway I got was they wanted to sort of get different people in the region, the Peconic Estuary region, together to sort of stress communication.
Mhm.
And then that would, facilitate shoreline protection the best. So it's not a fragmented, Southold does one thing and Southampton does another, and we're trying to.
I thought it was interesting about the Department of State, which I didn't know. New York State Department of State, if a municipality has an LDRP, is that the right? LWRP. And if the municipality makes a decision that's not in alignment with their plan, that organization at the Department of State can look at it and reevaluate it, like that decision. So keeping your plan up to date is important. And ours is old, right? Goes back several
I
years.
think they're in the process of reviewing it.
Yeah, it's a great plan.
They're about to.
Yeah, except the biggest culprit for not following the plan has been the actual municipality.
Town itself.
Well, that's where the
small-
Department of State
that's
comes
the-
in.
that's
You
part
know,
of the problem.
Department of State can come in and say, look, you guys put this together, you're not going to go by it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to go through the full reviews with the state. And the whole idea, I believe, of the LWRP is to give you a little more independence to make decisions on.
Right. Yeah, that threw me. I was like, what is this? I never heard this before. I thought that was like our plan, that we use. as a
But
town.
what was interesting, and I didn't realize this, is only East Hampton, and was it Shelter Island?
No. Southhold?
Southhold?
Southhold, I think it is.
Are the only ones who have an LWRP?
Yeah.
That had to be approved by the Department of State.
But that's why you don't get, they can't get in trouble because they don't have it. But
So anyway, there was some information
But in terms of, I think the Southold and the East Hampton LWRPs are quite different. Especially when it comes to shoreline hardened structures, docks and bulkheads. I think Southold is much more lenient on at least docks. I'm not sure about bulkheads than East Hampton is. So you can craft a LWRP many different ways. And we're the trustees, and the trustees did sit in on the LWRP meetings, but I don't think that the trustees are party to the LWRP. I believe
They-
Back in the
barely
day, I was on the
participated.
LWRP, and Tommy Noble and Jimmy McCaffrey used to come and sit in the room. If they would, I don't think they ever made a comment. It was sort of,
well, when I read through it, it seems consistent with their trustees sort of.
I think this board is in agreement.
Yeah.
The goals of the LWRP. But I think just, I don't think structurally the trustees are fit into it.
No, because so much of it is upland. It's not our remit, it's like,
Well, I think it's also the structure of the state government. It's, it's Department of State, and then the townships are parts of the state government.
it's all land use.
These are a
stuff
little
like
bit
that.
outside that structure.
so it was very helpful for me because I didn't know about this, and it was very helpful to, tie it all together.
That's good, you went.
Sorry?
That's good that you
Yeah.
went. Yeah. 4 minutes.
Yeah, I went to one of their meetings last year, and and there were more political people on the table that sat at the panel. It was more people who were elected, and this year it was people who were not really elected. I don't think there was any elected, was
Well,
there?
there was,
There were a few,
Yeah,
Krupski was there.
yeah, he was there. Kate was there.
And
I mean, they
there
were-
was a,
They were in the audience.
yeah, no, I meant on the
Yeah.
panel.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
because
think there
last year it was
wasn't there a
chaired by
cycle
Theo.
No, he was with planning.
No, I didn't notice. I mean, it was very different makeup anyway.
It's not an election year.
No, but what also was interesting is they apparently invited Army Corps, was it, or Fish and Wildlife? They invited someone from the federal level
Right.
and also state. There was nobody there from the state level on the panel. The one sent in a recorded response to a
Yeah.
question, but they were not there physically.
There were DEC people at the meeting, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, field workers, yeah.
I thought it was worth going.
It was worth attending.
It was the best. It was so beautiful. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great day for it. All right, want to pay the bills and call it a night?
Sure.
Yeah. Seacoast Enterprises, $20.80. East Hampton Marina, $103.03, and $150 for fuel.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Anyone opposed? All right, anybody have anything else before we close? Motion.
Make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?